Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting I'm bringing you today is a little mini painting. It's called Beach Shadows. 3.5 by 5 and completed something like last week. I don't know, last week was a bit rocky. Didn't get much done. Sometimes you'll have times like that, though. I'm not that big on pushing things too much, although I, for one, definitely don't feel as good if I know I'm not being very productive. It's just kind of ingrained in me, and it's probably that, what do they call it, the Protestant work ethic or whatever. It was pummeled into me by my dear mother. But hey, it's all good. I believe in having a work ethic, and I believe in working hard all the time. But there are times that you can't always be soaring up there with the eagles, and so maybe we'll talk a little bit about that while we watch this little mini painting occur. Before we get into that, though, so why the minis? Well, I had a pretty good inventory, which it goes back maybe 2 years, but I've pretty much sold all that. And just looking back in my archives, I can see that for some odd reason, the minis do better than 5x7s, which I way prefer painting 5x7s, to be honest. It's still small enough to be immediate, but there's a lot more room to work, but for some reason people like them, so that's all good. At the end of the day, every different size has unique challenges that it offers to the painter. The nice thing about this, what I found recently, I just did a mini yesterday, and it was just okay. It was maybe okay. This one may have to go through a second pass. For the most part, I've been for the last year trying to do most things with only one color pass. And sometimes, you come in and do a little bit here and there, but I think if you have that as your mindset, you're going to be a lot further along than if you think, oh, well, I'm going to have 3 and 4 and 5 color passes. But getting back to talking about, so a lot of times you're going to have highs, you're going to have lows, you're going to have periods where one painting after the next is really good, and you're rocking along. And obviously, the internal dialogue is something along the lines of like, "Hey, I'm there. I've arrived. Look, I'm sailing. I'm cruising." But rest assured that won't be the case forever. I think the best you can hope for is to fail at a higher level sometimes. But you will fail sometimes. It's just how it is, and if you're not failing once in a while, I don't think you're trying very hard. I mean, you've got to, and if you look at this channel, the history of the channel, and there are maybe gaps of, weeks or months in between when I do a painting and you might see it. A lot of times it's just been days for the last, 6 months or so. You can see the consistency. I'm very consistent. So, but if you were to take a long view, which let's face it, you care more about your. Sorry for this. I got a motorcycle in the background there. You care more about your painting process and your paintings than mine, obviously. Assuming you're a painter, and if you're not a painter, you're a patron. Hey, tip on over to my website. I got some really good paintings for sale over there. Like, all kidding aside, you obviously are going to be invested in your own drama and your own work, and you're going to be able to track that better than anybody. With possibly the exception of some critic who comes in after your death and has this giant overview of your whole career and history and this and that. Maybe he'll be able to track things better than you because he'll have objectivity, him or her, I should say. objectivity on their side, where you're automatically going to be subjective, and not only are you subjective, you're invested. So you want to succeed. Failing is generally painful, um, etc. So, what? Getting to my point, which is, you could have a period where, boom, good painting, good painting, good painting, good painting. Good painting, good painting, good painting, good painting, good painting, good painting. And then, oh, bad painting, but oh, another good painting, good painting, good painting. You get what I'm saying? But what I'm talking about is a little bit more like sometimes you'll get into a bit of a funk. And how do you get through that? How do you navigate it without, with the least amount of damage? Because uh, let's face. Actually, I was just listening to a podcast the other day. They were talking about music, and they were talking about chops. And the fact of the matter is, say you play guitar, if you go a long period without playing guitar, you're going to lose a lot of your chops. It's just the way it is. And painting is very similar. You can go much longer, I think, with the painting than, say, maybe a musician can. I don't know. I mean, I do music, but I have not mastered any one instrument. I kind of just make music. But what I do recommend doing is that you get, if it's just a day here or there, you got board prep. You can do some board prep. You can do a bit of marketing and those sorts of things. But I recommend you do a painting, but don't feel like it has to be ambitious. Be workmanlike about it. And now that has a bit of a bad name, which actually I'm glad this idea came up, because I've been wanting to talk about the idea of craft for a while, which, let's face it, craft and art, arts and craft. Most people don't like to put those two things together. They like to put art in a special rarefied category that is, it just implies it's going to be more moving, more stimulating, more valuable, more worthwhile, more worth keeping, more worth having, etc. And that's not absolutely wrong, because not all crafts achieve art, but most good art employs craft. Okay? If you are doing good art, you are employing craft, which means you've probably worked at what you're doing for quite a while, and you're on a path. You're improving here and there. You're doing consistently good work, and you have a method of operation that you apply consistently to what it is you're doing. That's craft. You learn that some things work well to give you the sort of effects and results you want, and other things do not work well. And so in the process of doing things that work well and not doing things that don't work well, that's called craft. That's what that is, okay? And it's one of the reasons I'm always harping on experience is the best way to paint. You don't hear me harping, by the way, on things like talent. You don't hear me telling you that you need to have buckets of talent to be a good painter. What you hear me telling you is that you have to paint all the time. You have to work hard at it and apply yourself diligently, and you can get very good. And it doesn't even really take bags and bags of time to get really good. But getting back to, so you're in a bit of a down place. Do some paintings, but don't be too ambitious and don't be too hard on yourself. And I don't think that's necessarily the best time to experiment either. I think it's a good time to kind of work in some veins that you're familiar with, so that you can click back into a flow and a groove. What I don't recommend doing, and now it's fine to take a day or two or maybe even 3 off, but I don't think it's good to take too much time off, even if you might only be able to bring yourself to work for a little bit on any given day. It's a little bit maybe difficult for you because you're going, wow, this isn't amazing. And just this time last month, almost everything I was doing was amazing. You just got to relax. And when that hits you, you just relax, and apply yourself to your work and do your work. And what you'll find is with that sort of attitude, a relaxed attitude, while still applying yourself to painting and learning how to paint and getting better, you'll get right through it. It won't even be a thing. It's not even worth worrying about. In fact, these dips that could become huge valleys just remain as dips, and they're not even that noticeable to somebody else, because all they're seeing is, well, there's a good flow of paintings coming out of this person. Again, most people aren't going to be that aware of your flow of work. You're going to be aware of it. You're going to have a sense of how much you got done in a week, a month, or a year, and what the quality of that work was, And if it's lacking the quality, then just relax and apply yourself. Pick a few things, and that's another thing. I was listening to somebody who has. Now I don't have OCD or anything like that. I do have perfectionist tendencies, but I'm a functioning perfectionist. Uh, just like some people are functioning geniuses, right? I'm a functioning perfectionist. Always have a idea or ideal of where things should be, and I'm usually falling somewhat short, and then sometimes way short. And then when that happens, I go, well, it just didn't work out. And it could be a lot of times what I put it down to is like, reference for one. If you have some amazing reference, that's the other thing. Say you're in a bit of some doldrums. Maybe go after a painting that you've done before or scene you've done before that had an amazing bit of reference. Maybe paint it in a larger or smaller size or something like that. Because a lot of times I find that if I'm doing work that's not that awesome, it's because there's all these problems in the reference. That was certainly the case yesterday when I was painting, and I managed to pull a decent painting out of it, but the reference had at least 4 or 5 really seriously systemic wrong, bad things about it, which I was aware of, and I wasn't aware of it the first time I painted the reference, which was years ago. This time I was aware of it, but I still wasn't quite able to make it sing as amazing, But what I did end up with was a confident painting that was certainly better than my previous efforts that had not succeeded in acknowledging the problems with the reference. So anyway, we're getting close to the end of the video. Thank you for listening to me burble on. You may have noticed that the last live video went out there for everybody without ads or anything. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And if you do like that kind of thing, that's how it is in the live area all the time. So tip on over to the members area. Throw $6 at me and Google, and enjoy. Anyway, till I come back with another video, do me a favor, do me a solid, please. Take good care of yourself and all your loved ones, and stay out of trouble.